Buying a business is a process, not an event. Think about this. When you buy a property, you see the property, sometimes you go back and see it, sometimes you get an expert to go and have a look at it, then you make an offer, then there's a date in which you kind of take over the property. It goes unconditional. Buying a business is different. A lot of people, especially if it's the first time buying a business or selling a business, they think it's going to be similar, but it's really not. It's more of a process. In my experience, businesses, and let's say under $5 million, are going to take somewhere between 3 to 6 months to buy. It's a long process. And bigger businesses can take even longer. It's not unusual for a reasonable sized business to take up to a year before completion. And one of the reasons for that is, and I'll give you an example. In December last year, my partner and I were negotiating to buy a business. And the owner of the business says, sure, I'll sell you the business, but you have to have everything, all of your offers and agreements in place by the 15th of January. So because it was Christmas, it was quite hard to get people motivated, lawyers and accountants, to put everything together, but we did it. And we presented our offer, and he said, I'm ready to sign. Give me 24 hours. Then what happened, he took it to his lawyer, and that's where things started to break down. So if you ever want to destroy a deal, you put a lawyer or an accountant in there, and they will, that's why deals usually fall over at that stage. Once the letter of intent has been accepted, the due diligence has been done, and the process starts, is because of interference by lawyers and accountants. Now, many lawyers and accountants are genuinely looking after the client's best interests, but a lot of them just don't do deals. They haven't seen a deal like, the one that you're particularly talking about, or they're just trying to run up their fees. But it becomes complicated. So something that they might have a provisional agreement in place, and the seller will come back with a list of things he wants changed. So you have to take that to your lawyer. So the lawyer doesn't suddenly drop everything they're doing and just attend to you. You're in part of their process. Sometimes it might take a day, 2 days, 3 days, a week for them to get to you. I suppose if you're a really big spender with them, they will drop everything. But generally lawyers, they charge for time, so they have to squeeze you in when they can. So you make the changes, you send it back to their lawyer, and they might not like it again. This goes back and forward until they get to a point where everybody can agree. And usually at some point, even though you have agreed the deal, there will be some point in the deal where there's disagreement. And how you handle the disagreement is usually the deciding factor of whether the deal will work or not. And then, even when the deal is done, once you've arranged it, there's a completion date. And some of those things, depending on the deal, some deals you'll make, they'll say, okay, it's contingent on. In other words, we've done a deal, I'm happy to pay, I'm happy to take over the business, but there's some long tail information there. There's some long-term contracts. There's some things that are not easy to unwind, and might take a month or 2 months or 3 months before you can get to the conclusion of those deals. Some contracts that the seller has, they might not want to do business with you. Some of those contracts have to be taken over. In a recent case, we took over a business where they had a $36,000 contract for 2 printing machines. It was incredible, but we just had to eat that as part of the deal. But not all of the companies that the seller does business with are happy to all converge at one point so that you can swap over the different contracts and license agreements. It can take time. So the point of this is, don't expect, if you're looking at a business, for it to happen as quickly as you would like. And also, if you're selling a business, be patient. It doesn't always happen quickly. If you like these tips, don't forget to follow and subscribe and give me some feedback. Thanks for listening.